Ladies and gentlemen, today is a very special day because we got the one, the only brother from another mother, Farzad Mesbahi here with us, man. How you doing, bro?
What an intro. I'm doing great. How you doing, man? Good to see you. It's been a minute, and I'm very happy to be back on with you on your channel, man. How's everything going?
Man, I mean, busy, but now I'm on vacation, so I'm chilling for a bit. So we've got time now, so that's good. So I really
Nice.
appreciate you coming on, dude. Um, I think the last time you came on, it was actually in August of last year. And
Yeah.
at that time, you were at 15,000 subscribers. Now you're at almost 70,000. So you've almost 5x. And I was around like five and a half. Now I'm at 13,000. So I've almost tripled. But
Nice.
geez, dude, tell us how this YouTube journey's been, man.
It's been weird, man. It's been wild. I mean, I've been reflecting on it a lot lately. It started by accident. It started for fun, and now I'm at the point where I have between X and YouTube, I have a pretty sizable platform. It's between the two places. I don't know, like 200,000 people or something that are subscribed to me or follow me in some way. So this thing went from a pet project to something that I need to start really treating it with the respect that it deserves. I have to really give it my full attention and time and effort, because it's one thing to really love something, but then it's weird when you love something and then it's also something that people seem to resonate with. And so that's what I've been trying to build. And it's confusing and it's weird and it's rewarding and it's punishing and it's a teacher, so it's been a lot, but it's been fun. It's been fun, but it has had its host of challenges as well. So, but I'm super grateful. I mean, this is like an insane gig. I'm like mind blown. The reason why I started anything was because I was trying to find sort of my slot in the world, and it seems like I've accidentally stumbled upon this thing that it's been great. So I don't know. I keep going. I don't know. I'm confused. I just keep going.
No, dude,
Yeah,
no, YouTube is absolutely it's really fun. It's really as soon as you find what you love to talk about and love to get into it, dude, it just doesn't end. Your brain doesn't stop working. You just want to continue
it's true.
making content. You just love doing it. Like, oh man, like dude, I see you posting like three times a day. How do you do it, dude? Like I'm seeing like, all right, in the morning, I see a video, and then 3 hours later, another video. I'm like, holy, this guy is just going
Yeah.
all in on freaking all these videos. Like, how do you do it, dude?
It's maximizing leverage. I mean, so the way I approach, and that's one thing, like that's the thing I always think about is like, it's too much. Is there such a thing as too much content? Because in reality, those 3 videos a day is not really me sitting down and making 3 videos. It's a video that I've maybe done on my own, and then and they're either clips or segments from long form conversations where I know that a significant portion of my audience doesn't have the time to watch those long form videos. And so it allows me to, if I have a long form conversation 2 or 3 times a week and I have the time to do 2 or 3 videos in that week, I'm really putting a total of, say, X number of hours actively in front of a camera. Let's not talk about the hours of prep, of research, of scripting and freaking, editing and all that stuff that has to go into it. But the active work that I'm doing behind the camera, I'm trying to maximize the amount of content that I can generate that doesn't overlap, so that my audience that likes certain type of lengths can watch it. And that's why the channel sometimes has like, you're it has 20 videos in like 5 days. It's because we're just trying our best to maximize how much content we get out there. I think it's just smart. It's smart to make sure that if people really want to watch something that they may be interested in, to have it available for them. And from the standpoint of, I'm talking about wanting to really give the respect it deserves. It's also a good strategy to ensure that you have a catalog that's strong, that also helps, get seen. And I've hired somebody that works with me for a little while with David, who's doing a phenomenal job. I have my producer wife who's also helping with this. I have Danny over on the YouTube ASL side, where he takes all my videos on his own time and dime, and he makes them into videos that are with sign language that's designed for the hearing and potentially visually impaired. Like it's visually impaired would make sense. Like hearing impaired and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So there's a lot going on now. That it just happened. I wasn't even planning for it. So now I'm trying to figure out, okay, so how do we get this thing to a very healthy spot that it can continue to grow and sort of set the foundation for that next 5x or 10x? Because now it's like one of those things where I'm really trying to give it the respect. Like I said, I'm trying to give it the respect it deserves. So yeah, I don't know. I just try to leverage, maximizing leverage.
Speaking about that, man, I've been trying to look for an editor for the longest time, and I've hired a couple, and they're absolutely garbage.
Oh no.
Could you help me out there by any chance? If there's like, I know you said David. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is he open to like helping out other
I can send you his
creators?
contact. Yeah,
That'd be
yeah, for
nice.
sure.
That would be nice because, man, dude, honestly, the filming videos are awesome, but editing takes the most time for me. I
It's
mean, each
difficult.
video editing takes about 3 hours, dude. I'm just like, bro, I can't. How am I gonna find 3 hours in a day to do all these things? So,
Yeah,
yeah, if you could help me out there as well, I mean, that would be flipping an awesome. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome if you could help me
yeah.
out there.
I'll send you his contact for sure. No, he's got a team and they do really good work. So I'll make sure
Okay,
to pass on your. I will. Yeah, I will pass on his contact info to you, and then y'all
awesome.
can sort of talk and figure something out.
Awesome. Yeah, that would really help out a lot. The
Of
editors that I
course.
hire are absolute garbage. And they charge
Oh
so
no.
much, and I'm like, dude, I can do better than that. So no, that's nice. That's nice that you have a team going on. Is that what Farzad Production is that you made on Twitter?
Yeah, Farzad Productions is sort of the because one of the things I was trying to do on X was trying to really invest in that platform because it's at the very early stages. It's something that Elon Musk runs, right? So you know that it's probably going to be pretty phenomenal once it's
Yeah.
up to speed. And historically speaking, if you invest in his ventures, they turn to be quite rewarding. And so that's the way I thought about that. So that Farzad Productions is a verified organization where I can so that becomes sort of my org, and then I can give badges to the members of that organization, which helps them get seen and grow on the platform. So it's kind of like a way of saying, hey, you're investing in this platform, by investing X number of dollars per month to verify that it's you and you're an organization and all the people associated to that organization. We're going to assume that you're going to be putting out content that is relevant and is high quality. So we're going to ensure that people see it. And so I'm like, okay, so that seems like a good place to invest in. Theoretically speaking, based on the benefits it gives you, it might just pay for itself in the first month, which would be fantastic. But if it doesn't, I still think it's a worthy investment to try and get in early. I mean, it's very important to try and get in early. I mean, everything that sort of like you cover around Tesla and sort of around that thought process of investing, it's not just a stock thing, it's a life thing. Getting in early in life allows you to build a foundation and get significantly ahead of where you could be if you didn't do that. And that progress compounds and is exponential. So it's and that's what I'm naturally gravitating towards in my life is when I see something that's early that I could be part of, that I'm passionate about, I invest. I invest in it, and then we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like you said earlier that yeah, whatever Elon Musk does, or well, it's gonna be something big. So let me ask you this: X versus YouTube. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on that? Do you think later on? I mean, right now I know they are X. They rolled out the payments for tweet, which is absolutely you could just tweet all day and you can get paid for that. That's unheard of. Just literally 3 months ago. Absolutely insane.
Sure.
So when it comes to like how would this affect YouTube in a way, or how would you see it competing with YouTube, let's say 5 months down the line or 10 months down the line or just next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the one thing that I've noticed on X, and I don't know if this is just from my standpoint, I don't know if it's anecdotal or if there's things that back this up, but it seems like X is much looser in pinning you into a niche. So on YouTube, if I if I do EV related content, Tesla related content, GM Ford, EV related content, or Elon Musk related content, it will do well. I can sort of reliably expect a certain level of engagement and views and results. But if I do something that's not in that space, and say I do 2 videos back to back that are not in that space that my audience doesn't resonate with, the algorithm is like, okay, I'm going to stop pushing your content because I'm going to assume that you started creating bad content. But in reality, you're just creating content that your regular viewership doesn't really jive with. And so when that happens is you have this valley of death where you go from having performance to just your channel dying, basically. And I've seen this repeatedly because I'm always trying to experiment with different format. But then at a certain point, I get frustrated. I'm like, okay, why am I investing all this time if people are not going to see it? It's like, okay, cool. It's for myself. But now I'm at the point where I have people that I'm, that I've brought on to help me with this, and I'm trying to create a rewarding venture for folks. So I can't do that. I can no longer have that approach on YouTube, which is a shame because it discourages experimentation and discourages sort of approaching different topics. And so the way you have to do it on YouTube is you have to create almost separate channels for different topics. So, and I'm thinking about that. It's like, you got to make a Farzad, EV channel, then you got to make a Farzad AI channel, and you got to make a Farzad blah channel. And of course, it could also be that, hey, maybe these people don't care what I have to say about those topics. I'm like, okay, that's probably also true. But I find it hard to believe that I would go from 10 views to no views. Like, there's absolutely nobody that would want to watch at least 1 minute, of what's there. So, but who knows? I could be 100% wrong on that, and it is what it is. So I'm just trying to discover. I'm trying to navigate the world of content creation and this sort of new media landscape, which is really, really exciting. Because that's what sort of X is doing. And so on the X side, so that's the YouTube side. On the X side, X is much more forgiving when it comes to when you step outside of your niche. So it's very much trying. You can tell the algorithm or however they built it, it's trying to incentivize people to talk about things that will get people to engage. And that could create an environment where it's like, okay, you have a lot of clickbaity type things and people just asking questions. What do you think about the color red? It's like really stupid stuff that's just there to content farm and engagement farm, which is that it's part of the game, whatever. But the other byproduct is that it encourages people to talk about things that perhaps are not in a niche. So on X, for example, I'm not just talking about EVs, but I'm talking about a very broad range of topics. And I think you see this from your end when you sort of look at my feed, is that there's EV stuff, there's Tesla stuff, but there's politics stuff, and there's artificial intelligence stuff, and there's economy stuff, and there's job stuff, and there is geopolitical stuff, because people are complex. People, like, human beings are very complex. We're not just like this freaking this very simple thing that's one dimensional. And I have so much to let me be clear here. I'm very thankful that YouTube exists because it has enabled so many people to create a living on their passions, and that is incredible. But there are downsides to how YouTube is doing it right now, and the way YouTube does it is it incentivizes you to become one dimensional. And if there's one thing that's very frustrating to me is being one dimensional. It's like my entire life I've prided myself in being multidimensional. If we're going to talk about Tesla, working at Tesla, you had to be multidimensional. You had to wear 1,000 hats to be successful at the company. But then now it's almost like I'm quote unquote working for an employer that's trying to box me in, and it's driving me freaking nuts. And that's the battle I've been going through. And that's why, I on X, I had that huge post about burnout. Yeah. Because I'm like, okay, and the more as I'm introspective and I'm trying to think through it, it's that mechanism that's driving me nuts. And it's like, okay, now I'm trying to figure out that with David and Cindy, producer wife, like I'm trying to figure out, okay, so like, how do we take this to the next level while we leverage everyone's strengths, including my own? And so that's where we might have separate channels on YouTube where we do long form content on one, then we do short form content on the other one. And if it's not related to EV short form content, maybe we drop it on a different channel. And those are the things we have to think through. And unfortunately, that's what we have to do. And then on X, it seems like it's much more centralized under one account. And then the algorithm will figure out how to get your stuff out to the right people. So yeah, long answer to your question, but it's been a battle. It's been a battle.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I agree with that. When you said the part where if you have established a niche and you decide to step out of it on YouTube, good luck. Unless you start, focusing more on that, it gets hard. That's why I have two YouTube channels. The first one, the Nature Boy, where I do like the meal plans, all that kind of stuff. I started doing finance videos on that. It didn't get. I mean, it was punishing me. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing it and just open a second channel called Curious Pejjy and talk about finance. I didn't know I was gonna get all too deeply into Tesla. Might as well change it to Tesla Pejjy. But anyways, um, but yeah, YouTube does do that. You do. The thing with YouTube is that it's so it's so niched down. Like the channel you get, you have to be so niched down in order to get somewhere with it. I haven't met a channel where they're so diverse and they have a high subscriber rate or a high view rate. I'm sure there is, but it's very, very little.
Very few. Yeah.
Yeah,
There was one woman that I oftentimes see her video. She'll do like documentary style videos, then she'll do music, then she'll do like analysis of like scores, and it's very like eclectic
yeah,
and crazy. And you can see it on her videos. Like she'll go from like 100,000 views to 2 million views to 10,000 views. And in my head, I'm like, wow, this person like they're much more strong-willed than I am because they're sticking with it. They're going with it. They're going on
yeah,
that journey, and people are there, to watch her and sort of like, yeah, and she's doing it
yeah,
right. It's just, but you can tell that if she was on 5 different channels, those 5 channels would be 1 trillion subscribers.
yeah.
But she
Yeah,
doesn't
that's true.
choose to do that, which is fine. That's
Yeah,
completely up to her to
yeah.
do.
That's true. And yeah, X. By the way, thank you for getting me on X, man. Because if it wasn't for you, I still wouldn't have X. Because
Well, I'm glad you're there.
yeah, because you're like, get it. I'm like, should I? And you're like, yes. You sure? Yes. I'm like, all right. I'll get
Yeah,
it. So
good.
thank you for that. And by the way, guys, whoever's tuning in, Farzad's Twitter and YouTube channel in the description. Subscribe to him. Follow him on Twitter. Awesome content.
Subscribe to Pejjy. Come on, do it.
Smash the like button, man. What are you doing? But no, awesome content. I've been a follower. My first follow on Twitter was obviously Farzad, and I've been following Farzad since his first video he put out in 2021 about the 50,000 stock price. But we'll get to that in just a bit as well. So last thing about YouTube or X, talk about
Pre-split.
tips. Pre-split. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's be clear.
Well, yeah. Now it's different.
Mm.
But yeah, last year you asked me about some tips about YouTube because you were getting started, and I gave some tips then. Now I'm gonna ask you that question, bro. What are some tips for someone trying to start a YouTube, or maybe they started? How can they grow their channel, get more subscribers, get more viewers, and yeah, just expand and get bigger?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm the best person to ask this question because, I'm still learning a lot, but I mean, I can sort of share what I think are the best ways to do well on YouTube. And this is a combination of my learned experience, but really primarily it's the advice of other people that, I've watched, like, Marquez Brownlee and Mr. Beast and all these giant creators that clearly understand how to make a tremendously large channel. They're basically media corporations. And so the advice that they have given in the past that I most closely resonate with is that you have to pick something that you are passionate about. Because if you don't pick something you're passionate about, recovering from burnout is going to be impossible. Because you will get burned out, regardless of what topic you choose. You will get burned out because you're just a human being. That's what happens. Interests, like, yes, all of us love Tesla and we love talking about it and we love the stock and we love all the stuff. But 24/7 Tesla 100% of the time, at least for my brain, is not a good combination. I need breaks. I need to like ebb and flow with where my natural interests go. And so when that happens, if you pick something that you're not passionate about, the second you lose the love of the second you get burned out, you're not going to have any incentive to come back to it because you're not passionate about it. You're going to find the next thing. And the reason why that's important is because YouTube loves consistency. It loves consistency. So making sure that you're uploading, say, once a week at the minimum on a topic that you're passionate about will give you the foundation that people will watch your stuff. Because if you're passionate about something, you maximize the chances of creating really good content. So those are the two huge fundamentals. And then the third one is thumbnail and title. Thumbnail and title. It's that is an art form in itself, and it's so hard to do. And really, the overarching thought process around thumbnail and title that I've resonated with is you have to pack. It's almost like the imagine you have a present, like you're giving somebody a Christmas present. Imagine, and then you have a gift wrap. You know, you've wrapped the present in something with a bow. The gift wrap and the bow is the thumbnail and title, and then what's inside is your content. And so you want that to be as grabby and as beautiful and it's like,
Clickbait.
whoa, I really want to open that as much as you can, right? So yeah, it's clickbait in the best way. Like I've heard Veritasium, which is another phenomenal YouTube channel, call it legit bait. You know, like legit bait is what you want, and legit bait is like maximizing how badly somebody wants to click on something without being misleading, and that is so hard to do. That is so hard to do.
Yeah,
But
it's
the
hard.
the general practices that I've learned how to do that is you want to keep your title as short as you can so that it fits in every single format of like thing that people are watching it on, like mobile, for example. So ideally 40 letters or less would be my advice. And then your thumbnail should have a face, like because people naturally um they interact way more with human faces than anything else. Like they love just to react to emotion, and make your thumbnail stand out. So make it so if you're making a video about how far ahead Tesla is, you want to have a combination of title and thumbnail as an example that conveys that in its maximum form, and then you invest time in making sure that it's your pictures are high quality. If it's a picture of your face, that it's not some pixelated piece of crap. It has to be like nice quality. Anyone's like selfie camera on their phone should be more than enough. You put it on Canva or some sort of image editing software, and then you turn up the saturation a little bit so it's a little bit the colors pop a little bit more. Yeah, so that's generally my advice. So it's hard. There's so much that goes into it, and then on the content itself, you want to make sure there's one piece of like there's two things you should really invest in is a really good microphone so that you sound because 95% of the absorption of information is this thing right here. And then the second one is lighting, not even a camera, lighting. Lighting is
Mm,
way more important than a camera. You can get a $200, even a $100 camera that will look just as good as $1,000 camera if you have the right lighting. And so lighting is very
mm,
important.
that's
So
true.
yeah.
So you guys watching, I hope you guys are writing everything down because that's some legit advice right there. No, that's good stuff. No, I agree. The thumbnail and title, dude. I spend after like 3 hours editing, it takes about an hour just to come up with the title and then the thumbnail as well. It's a work on itself. It just if you have a terrible thumbnail and title, you're not gonna maximize on views. If you have a terrible video content, but you have an awesome thumbnail and title, you could probably get hundreds and thousands of views just because
It's
someone clicked
crazy.
on it. It's insane. That's why it's very important for the thumbnail and title. Very, very
And if you
important.
do both, you go through the moon. You go through the
Yeah.
stratosphere,
You go
you
right.
know?
I can show it here.
Yeah,
Going right,
there you go.
going right to the moon. To the
Nice.
moon. No, so that's that. That's some good advice from for YouTube, and I'm guessing similar. Well, X is still, I think X is more lenient. You can, like we mentioned earlier, we can just post whatever we want, and we won't get as punished. Because I know 95% of my stuff on X is all about Tesla stuff. The other 5% I do memes and other stuff. So they're
Mhm.
okay. I don't get as many views, but they're not like YouTube punishment thing. So yeah, X is more lenient.
Yeah. It is, and it doesn't require you to have a thumbnail, right? I mean, they're kinda doing that a little bit with,
Yes.
like, posts with pictures tend to do better,
Yep.
because again, people are just naturally attracted to images, and that's why Instagram is such a popular app.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Who knows? I mean, X could very well turn out to be the next YouTube in that way. Like, it'll just bring all the people on, and then maybe humans just naturally like to niche down on what they
Yeah.
watch. And so that's just what it is. And, it's not YouTube's fault, it's people's fault. I don't know. That could very well be the outcome as well. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. It could be any of those things. But still, I do think the algorithm for YouTube is a little bit more um programmed to do a certain thing. I don't know. I'm just
I
I
agree with
think
you.
yeah, X is still in the earlier stage, but I like the freedom in X more than the YouTube. That's for sure.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Okay, so that's the YouTube and X, and we could keep going on with that for hours because there's a lot to talk about there. Let's get down to the juicy stuff, which is Tesla.
Okay.
So I always stress that the next sorry, I always stress that the next big thing, the next thing that can bring Tesla stock to maybe another 3x, 4x, the next big jump, it has to be the FSD. That's that. As soon as it's solved, as soon as Wall Street sees the numbers, the potential, the just the big, the profits and revenue it can make with a snap of a finger over the air update, how it's just gonna be like a 2020 moment. I'm not too sure how
Hmm.
big, but I'm sure when FSD is solved and they do see it, Wall Street does see it, it's gonna be another massive jump. 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, whatever the hype and valuation Wall Street's gonna slap onto it. Now the question I have for you, dude, is how far is FSD to being solved? Because I know you have a Tesla, you have the FSD there. I recently just rented out the Model Y and Model 3, but we'll get to that in a bit as well. I didn't have access to full self driving, but I did have access to autopilot, which I used all the time on the highway, and it was absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome. But you have
Welcome
the
to
full,
6 years ago.
and that's crazy, dude. Like you're saying that thing is 6 years ago, but you have the latest full self driving version on your Y, right?
I am one version behind, two versions behind technically, but I'm 14.4.4 or
Okay.
11.4.4 at the 11.4.6 right now. That's out and
Okay.
about.
So
Yeah.
just that, because just that, how close is it to being solved? How is it doing? Like, I'm
Yeah.
very curious to know firsthand view. What's up with that?
Yeah. I mean, so I'll give you a perfect example. So we road trip our car every year between Texas and Pennsylvania, and it's a 1,700-mile drive one way. And so every year we go, up and back 3,500 miles. And this latest trip, we did it on full self driving, and of course, a huge majority of the drive, like 98% plus of the miles probably, are on highway. And on full self driving beta, I mean, I literally have to drive. The only places I have to drive where once we get into the parking lot, we just plug in the car into the supercharger. And there was one or two occasions where there was debris on the road because once you're on the road for 1,700 miles, your chances of running into something freaking weird is very high. And in this situation, I didn't even leave it up to the car. I just took over myself. And so
Mm,
outside of that, the car did everything. So, in a real world scenario of most of people's travels, which is a highway with a little bit of city, full self driving beta is doing 99.9% of the miles already. So the goal from my experience, this is lived experience. And I
yeah.
use full FSD every day. The one issue that is a pain in the ass right now with my version is that some of the roads that I drive on, they have turning lanes and it will drift into the turning lane because it's I don't know, this latest version they did something to the update and it doesn't for some I don't know if it's a mapping thing where they haven't updated the maps in certain areas, but for a type of road that I drive on a lot of, I have to deal with that drifting lane thing, which was never an issue, and with this version it was an issue, which tells me that it's something they can fix because it wasn't a problem before. Now it became a problem. So they know the solution. It's just for some reason it's not prioritized for them. So it is what it is. It's not a huge deal. So, but I I'm of the camp now that it's obvious that it's going to happen. Before I was very confident that it was going to happen, but now that I've been in the car, in my opinion, and again, people can call me over optimistic or whatever. In my opinion, it's obvious that it's going to happen because the from as a viewer, as a person who uses the software every day, it's not that what it can and can't see that is the limiting factor. It's the decisions it makes based on what it sees. It can see everything. It has everything identified. It's just, why did you go in the right lane here? Like, obviously that was dumb. Like, why did you go there? There wasn't something that I missed that I didn't see. I just didn't make the right decision. And what Tesla's investing in right now, it's the compute power so that it's getting better at decisions. And all that takes is compute. It's compute, which they know. And Elon has said it's compute. It's they need to come down, they need to sit down, and they have to teach this artificial brain how to think properly. And then the brain will make the right decision 100% of the time. And that's the only limiting factor here. So when I feel pretty confident in saying that they'll have, and I've said this again, this is probably the third time I say I'm pretty confident. I'm like freaking Elon here, where I'm trying to come up with a prediction and being wrong every time. I am quite confident next year we'll have some robo-taxi trials, probably in San Francisco, especially with San Francisco now allowing the entire city, like Cruise and Waymo can operate in the entire city now. They gave the green light last week or earlier this week. I forgot exactly, or over the weekend it may have been. So I think they'll go live with robo-taxi next year in San Francisco.
Next year. So
whoa, with like a Model Y or Model 3. Yeah.
Whoa, man. So you're that confident that next year in allowed areas like San Francisco, there's gonna be FS, like there could be potential of FSD robo-taxi going live.
Yeah. There will be a Model Y or Model 3 without a driver that will pick you up from your house and take you to SFO, the airport, by the end of next year. Yeah, I can totally 100% see that. Yeah. Because Cruise and Waymo do it today. Cruise and Waymo do it today. And I would argue that their systems are not that much more advanced. You look at you look at how Cruise is performing in the city. I mean, literally a Cruise just ended up in a freaking cement, in a wet cement patch. Did you see that picture?
No, I haven't.
Dude,
No.
Let me try to find this and send it to you. There was literally a Cruise self-driving car that ended up in a cement patch. And it's literally sinking through the ground.
So hold on 1 second. How was Waymo and Cruise allowed to do this, to do robo taxis in San Francisco, but Tesla is still not doing it?
Because Tesla hasn't come out and said they're level 4 yet, right? This is a Tesla limitation. Cruise and Waymo can operate in San Francisco because they are marketing themselves. I just put in the private chat. They're marketing themselves as level 4 systems that don't require a driver behind the steering wheel and pedal, and they have enough data. They've proven enough sort of things to the city that says, hey, if you let us operate, we'll do so better than a human. Because humans still end up in cement patches. This is not like oh my God, this is like a terrible thing that a human would have never done. No, humans do such bad things that it ends up killing people, right? That is the bar that we're fighting against. Look at that. That happened like yesterday or earlier today or something. It's incredible.
Power of LiDAR, man.
Yeah, it's great. And do you see this? Like, if this imagine if that was a Tesla. What would happen if that was a Tesla? It would be like world view, like global number one. Elon Musk is killing people by sinking them in cement. You know what I'm saying? It's like you'll get the craziest headline. But that is the ceiling that Tesla's going up against. This is allowed. And so within that context, I'm like, okay, the system doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be better than a human. And my argument is that Tesla's FSD is pretty damn close to being better than a human without a driver. Very, very like super, super close. And so go ahead.
No, so would you argue that it's already at level 4?
I think it's at level 4. But see what I would argue it's at level 4 99% of the time.
Okay.
Yeah. But that 1%, you can't have it be level 2 1% of the time and get approval from the city to be level 4. But the thing is, the thing to keep in mind is that when Tesla achieves level 4 99.99999% of the time, and that 0.00001% it requires somebody to beam into the vehicle and drive it potentially, or whatever solution they want to come up with, then under that scenario, if Tesla achieves that in San Francisco, it would have also achieved it in New York City. It would have achieved it in Orlando. It would have achieved it in Austin. It would have achieved it in Montreal. It would have achieved it in Vancouver, right? So because the approach that Tesla is taking to solving driving is not city by city. It's for the laws that apply to driving in a specific country or region. Okay, so it's scalable. It's very scalable. So when Tesla gets approved in San Francisco, the argument will be that it will also be capable of being approved in every other city, because the San Francisco piece also applies to the rest of the country. You know that the laws in San Francisco aren't different than the laws in New York. It's just the driving conditions might be different, but by then Tesla would have had enough data to solve for that. So that's how I think
Wow.
about it.
So let me ask you this then. You're saying robo-taxi next year in San Francisco. Okay. I do see that now. But when do you think it's going to be solved to a point where all Tesla has to do, and let's just say there's approval for all that kind of stuff as well, that with just in North America, with one over-the-air update, anyone with a Tesla in North America can apply for the could opt in for the $200 a month FSD. Let's say version 12, for example.
Next year. Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah. So the thing is like, okay, so this is where this autonomy thing gets complex, right?
Yeah.
Because level 4 implies no driver behind the wheel and pedal,
Yeah.
right? But what could happen is San Francisco says, okay, you are approved for level 4, which means that Tesla can then operate a fleet of robo-taxis, or a fleet provider can operate a fleet of robo-taxis where they earn money by letting this thing go around San Francisco. But that same software can also apply to every other car in the country, but it doesn't operate as level 4. It operates as level 3 or level 2, where the jurisdictions will still require a driver to be behind the steering wheel and pedal, but the system will be so good that it's kind of redundant, right? So it's dependent on which areas allow Tesla to remove the driver. So essentially what I'm saying is, because there's two pieces there. It's like you have to solve for the autonomy, and then you have to let you actually operate the way that you want to operate it in. What I'm saying is next year, San Francisco is going to be both. Is Tesla is going to get to figuring out how to get it without a driver, and San Francisco is like, yep, I'm going to let you do it without a driver. And then say Austin, as an example, could be that the car will drive itself without a driver, but Austin's like, no, you have to have a driver behind the steering wheel because we are not quote unquote confident that you can do that. And that's going to be a battle between the jurisdiction and Tesla. And that will be like that will be a rolling battle each year where it's like they're going to have to prove themselves to the regulators, you know? Like, for example, it's going to be way harder for Tesla to get approval to do driverless vehicles in, say, New York City versus San Francisco. New York City might take until 2030. Who knows? Because you have the taxi union, right? The sort of the whole yellow cab medallion thing. You also got Uber, and then now you have FSD in there. And then let's not even talk about the different driving conditions in New York, which are completely bananas. But
Yeah.
even though Tesla might be able to, like, Tesla will be able to navigate those areas, the regulators could still say, well, we don't trust it, you know? So does that make sense?
It does. It does. I can see a lot of politics can get involved, and if they don't, if Elon is still being Elon, they could probably just say, "Hey, nope, not this year. Try again next year." I can totally see that happening. But let's just say it does get solved. Well, it's a matter of when at the moment. It's not if. Because I'm very convinced that it is
Yeah, for
going to
me, it's
get
a
solved.
when. If is no longer a
I'm
question.
coming.
Is
I'm coming
when.
from you. You have it. You use it all the time. I'm even
Yeah.
more convinced now. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the stock price for a second. Once that happens, right now, what the stock is in the low 200s. What do you think? Man, like how much of a increase would the Stonk, moon to, or
I don't know.
what's the jump? You don't know? Damn, I was trying to get a number.
I'm supposed to tell you, like, bro, I don't know. I mean, from my perspective, it's like, I can sit down and model numbers until I'm blue in the face, and I've done that on the channel, and I've been
Yeah.
open about my targets because I'm transparent about how I'm thinking about the story. But what it's going to do for sure, I don't know. I don't know. But the thing is, though, the one thing that is clear is that the valuation for self-driving and autonomy is not currently in the stock price.
Mm.
That I'm confident of. That I'm confident of. And so the question becomes, what is the valuation of autonomy? And so if you just think about it, just put some very basic numbers to it. If you can have a robo-taxi that charges $1 per mile to the customer, and then which is potentially up to half of what Uber would traditionally charge for a ride, and this is a car that will take you to and from in private, right? So it's just you in the car or whoever else you're in the car with, and it does so it does so at a safety that is 10 times better than a human. Then you have a solution that is both cheaper, that is all of the above: cheaper, safer, and private. And privacy, in my opinion, is a luxury. It's a luxury that you don't currently get with being carried around unless you hire somebody in a Bentley where you can have a separation between the driver and the back, or a limo, and that's very expensive. So now you could have that in a solution that's cheaper than any other solution out there, where you can go from point A to point B, right? So from that perspective, the demand for that type of vehicle, in my opinion, is going to be very, very high. And so 40,000 miles a year of that robo-taxi at $1 per mile, and then Tesla takes home 20%, you know, of whatever that is, then you just do the math there, and then that will give you a number of how much profit would go to Tesla. You extrapolate that over 10 years, and that's how much money Tesla makes on that car per year, in addition to charging for the full self-driving software that allows you to enter the car in the network, right? And so that's trillions of dollars of market cap. And depending what percentage of the fleet adopts that, and how large the fleet size is, that dictates how much profit goes to Tesla's bottom line. So, and then people can figure out those variables. People can sit down and do like, okay, it's $2 per mile. It's 1% fleet percentage of the fleet that's robotaxi. It's 50,000 miles a year, you know, and then you do the math, and then that tells you the profitability. And because it's software, it's just going to go straight to the bottom line. It's basically at 100% margin. So that's you know, so it's up to the individual to figure out what those variables are.
Yeah,
The
right
way
now,
I think about it is, yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, the way I think about it is, I think it's a high demand product, and like, I don't see why it wouldn't be in high demand. Like, people will say, well, you know, people will still own their cars. I'm like, great, but I bet you 50% of the population in the U.S. that's just trying to get from point A to point B as cheap as they can because they can't afford their bills, I bet you they're going to hail the Tesla if it's the cheapest available solution out there that's going to get them to work, and it costs the same as a bus ticket potentially. And it will pick them up at their house, and it will drop them off at work, and they never have to ride the bus. They don't have to go to the bus station. They don't have to wait for the bus to come. They don't have to wait for the stops. It just goes from their house to work. That's it. In privacy, with way better safety than a human.
And cheaper than a bus ticket, which is
Potentially, depending where you are, you know,
wow,
and how long your trip is.
I didn't think about it that way. That's just insane. Yeah, and I think, as you said earlier, the stock is not putting anything of this in. As soon as there's some little bit of a actual revenue and profits toward it, just like what happened, let's say in 2019, 2020, where Tesla was like, oh, look, this quarter they're profitable, to the moon it goes. I think it'll be something similar to that, because the way how Tesla trades, I've noticed, is that it jumps and then it consolidates for like many years, and then it jumps again and then it consolidates for many years, and then it jumps again. From 20, I think it was 2010 is when they IPO'd. It was pretty much flat until 2013, and from 2013 all the way to 2019, it was flat up until 2020. Because every time they solve something happened, and the market is like, oh, I wasn't, oh, I'm surprised, I didn't know that was going to happen. And the FSD is the next thing. Now it is a bit harder. We do have to wait for governments and all that. They have to get involved, but that's the next one. As soon as they show some sort of a revenue or profit from just full self-driving, forget robotaxi, just full self-driving, I am very convinced that we can see a good jump into stock. Not financial advice, just my opinion. But
yeah, I mean, yeah. I agree with you. I think if once there's more people that want to buy the stock because they are convinced that autonomy is something that Tesla has solved, then I agree with you 100% that the stock will see a sudden re-rating. It will get suddenly re-rated at a much higher multiple with potentially at a much higher net income projection for the next 5 years. So instead of being viewed as and right now, what the PE is, what, 50 or something? You know what the PE is right now?
65.
65, something like
Yeah.
that. So it's 65 right now, which says that there might be something baked in there that's sort of preparing itself for future growth. But again, if you really view it through the lens of autonomy, the net income number suddenly balloons. It like doubles or triples, which brings the PE down by potentially a third. So it makes it a 20 PE stock. And so the question you ask yourself is like, okay, again, none of this is financial advice. Is a company that's trying to get to 20 million units per year by 2030 that now has SaaS like margins with the autonomy at potentially 60, 70, 80% margin net for the car business once you bake in all those costs, like over 10 years at least per vehicle, does a company like that warrant a 20 PE? And that to me seems absolutely insane. Like it's a very low number. And so you have a higher net income and you have a higher PE. So, but again, I don't know what that number is. And I don't know if people will realize it. And again, just because I'm confident Tesla's going to solve it doesn't mean that they'll actually solve it. Who knows? I mean, literally an eagle can fly down and stab Elon in the eye, and then he'll go blind, and then he'll be like, screw this, I'll retire because this is crazy. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, Tesla changes. I don't know. Anything could happen.
Anything could happen. Anything could happen. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Now let me ask you this. I know there's something going on in China with the full self driving. I think they're trying to get the beta there, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
I saw that.
So yeah, so I mean, if it, wow, what do you think about that, man? Like getting the FSD beta in China, because right now there's a lot more Teslas in China than I would think in the US. I'm just how much? No, you
I don't
you
know if
don't
that's
think so?
correct.
You don't know?
I don't
Okay,
know if that's correct. The fleet size it's a good question, but I think the fleet size in the US is larger. I could be wrong,
it's
but
larger,
I
huh?
think the fleet size is larger because
Okay,
California is a giant.
mm,
It's giant. Maybe
that's
by
true.
now Shanghai is bigger. Maybe somebody in the comment section can confirm that
Can
for us. But
comment
I
that,
just I
yeah,
want to say my gut tells me the U.S. fleet is larger than China. I mean, they're still both pretty. They're the two by far the largest
yeah.
in the world,
So you got
easily.
number one, and which is the US, then you got number two, who's going to be, which is China, who's going to, well, looking into allowing full self-driving beta. What do you think about that? I mean, I know once that happens, they gotta pay for the $200 a month. That's man. I just wish Tesla. I know it's early. I just wish Tesla would have a separate part in their financial statements where it shows that yeah, full self driving. This is how much we're making in terms of revenue. Doesn't have to show the profits, but as long as like there's some number there, it'll help a lot with the valuation. Just figuring out what the stock could be, or what can be predicted. But besides to the point, FSD going to China. Big bullish, medium bullish, not bullish, bearish. What do you think?
Yeah, bullish, of course. I mean, anywhere that FSD goes is going to be bullish. Obviously, doesn't matter what region it is. I think the bigger takeaway from your point, which I agree with, is I do wish that Tesla would break out software revenue. But here's a secret. The reason why they don't break it out yet is because they don't want you to see it. Right? That's a it's like having worked in a previous life before Tesla as an executive at a company. Like I understand, especially in analytics and very data driven sort of organizations. Uh, we don't show numbers that we don't want you to see. So the fact that Tesla doesn't have it broken out, the message I get is like they don't want us to see it yet, which means that once they do put it on their P&L, then they want us to see it. And so what does that mean? It becomes a point of focus for the company over time so that you can kind of see that we're like, hey, the reason why we're showing you this is because we're confident that as we go further into the future, this number is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that will become the signal. That will become the signal that says, okay, now we need to start modeling this number. Because then that number, whatever that revenue number is, let's say for 2024, it's $1 billion in revenue. But then you look at the cost of revenue, it's like 10% or 15%, which implies whatever margin. Then you're like, oh shit, okay. So what does this mean? And then you start doing the math, and then it makes it way easier for people to understand what the valuation is going to look like long term.
So hold on. If they're not adding it, if because we know we're generating revenue and their profits, but if they're not adding it to their financial statements, is that like, is that number not included in their
It is.
total? It is. It's just not
It's
broken
just in
down.
automotive. It's just in
Okay.
automotive sales and revenue. Yeah, it's
Oh
baked into
damn.
the number.
Oh
Yeah.
damn. So if they split it, then the average selling price is going to be a whole lot lower than what it shows.
It will be lower. Not I don't know about a
Yeah.
whole lot lower, but it'll be lower. Yeah, for
Oh.
sure.
Okay. Wow. Okay. That's. I mean,
The
let's hope.
ASPs include FSD.
Yeah. That I know. That I know. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, okay. And FSD right now, only select amount of people have full self-driving beta. It's not masked out yet for them. Okay. And the point that you
No.
brought up makes sense. Okay. So let's see. Let's hope. I don't know. Maybe end of next year. They can show some numbers. Don't
Yeah, I
know.
mean, once they said robotaxi, once I'm sure they'll come out with a statement where there'll be like Tesla has achieved level 4 autonomy. Like how Tesla will come out with a blog post when
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
have some big breaking news. They will come out with a blog post that says Tesla has achieved level 4 autonomy. And then once that happens, you bet your ass that the next quarterly earnings call is going to have a nice line that will say software revenue or
Nice.
autonomy revenue. And then from that point forward, we'll be able to sit down and figure out what that looks like.
That's gonna be very exciting. I am looking forward to that day, like no tomorrow, because I'm
It'll be fun.
very curious to know what the numbers are. Extremely curious.
Me
So
too.
that's cool. The full self driving. Now, the next thing we see everyone joining Tesla's supercharger network, and it's growing by the day, by the week, by the month. GG, they've already won when it comes to this. Now they have a universal wall charger, which tells you everything that you need to know about the EV, the charging space. Now, the next thing that you know from them joining supercharging is, I'm guessing, it's the FSD licensing. How confident? Because I was talking to Boomer Mama. I'm like, do you really think other automakers will actually license out Tesla's FSD? And without hesitation, she was like, "Hell yeah!" So I want to know
Of
what your
course.
opinion. I want to know what your opinion here is for full self driving, licensing out full self driving to other automakers.
Well, we already know that based on the last earnings call that Tesla is working with an automaker, with an OEM to license out FSD. But that was also said previously. That was also something that Tesla said, I think, a few years ago. So take it with a grain of salt right now. But it's likely the case. It just depends how they're going to come to terms with it. But think about it this way: if it turns out, which I believe this is the case, if Tesla will solve autonomy, the question becomes: is Tesla one of the only players that solves autonomy that is scalable, that you can actually call it level 4, even potentially level 5, and it's solved in a way that doesn't require the additional sensors, the HD maps, the cellular towers that if they go down, your car stop working, which is again what happened to Cruise in San Francisco over the weekend. So if you can do that and scale it, and the sensor solution, so the cameras and the hardware is extremely easy to implement into an existing vehicle format, like say like Ford wants to include it in the next generation Mustang Mach-E, and all they have to do is just have the slots there for the cameras and a place for the computer. And once they have that, it's like their car can just drive itself, and it doesn't require a freaking tower of sensors on the roof. And you need to reinforce the roof, and you got to put all these insane sensors and stuff in the car that will solve for it. If it's that streamlined, then the automaker is going to be incentivized to partner with Tesla, because the manufacturing process on their end becomes stupidly simple. So you also have to think about it that way. Because from that perspective, then Tesla becomes really a tier 1 supplier. Tesla
Yep.
becomes a tier 1 supplier of autonomy systems. And if they're the ones that can supply at a very low cost to the manufacturer, and that still allows the manufacturer to say our cars drive themselves, then what manufacturer wouldn't do that? And so that's where Tesla's approach is very unique, is that they have the ability to do that. I haven't seen any other automaker or autonomy software hardware solution company, either in the States or in China, that is near anywhere the elegance of implementation of their system. And that's going to be giant. Because for autonomy, for it to actually be everywhere, you need to scale. You need to create a lot of cars that can do this. And creating a lot of cars that can do this with 1,000 sensors is 1,000 times harder than a lot of cars that can do this with only 8 cameras, right? So at that point, once Tesla solves autonomy, and Tesla has been very open about licensing their hardware and software, my question becomes, who wouldn't do that?
True. That is a very great way to look at it. Who wouldn't do that? No, I mean, it's true.
Legitimate
Freaking-
question. I don't know. I wish somebody could tell me who wouldn't do that.
No, it's true. The Waymo and Cruise and I think his name is Dan O'Dan or whatever, Green Hill, whatever. This guy.
Who?
Oh, that's hilarious. I feel bad for Ross, man. He got sacked.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that whole thing is like an attention grabbing thing. These guys know how to market what they want. You know, it's just that's all it is.
Yeah,
it's
just, no, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely true. So let me ask you this, because I also asked Boomer Mama this as well. So let's say, for example, Ford or GM or any other automakers, like, you know what? I would like to license your FSD. How would GM or Ford, their vehicles have to be built? Because they have to have the cameras, they got to have all that, what in order to have Tesla software. Do they have to, I don't know, have the same I guess you could say not design, but like have the same structure in terms of cameras all around the vehicle, like how Tesla does, and the I guess you could say the software part of it, so Tesla can connect with it. This part I'm still a little bit woozy about it. Like, how would Ford and GM license out Tesla's FSD? Like
how they would bring it onto their cars, you mean?
Yeah, how would they do it on their cars?
So great question. But here's a secret about Ford and GM. Ford and GM, the only thing they build are engines, really. Not even that in some situations. So what are Ford and GM? Ford and GM, like rewire how you think about an automaker, like a legacy automaker today. Ford and GM are companies that purchase parts off the shelf from suppliers, from tier 1, 2, and 3 suppliers that sell seats, that sell suspensions, that sell steering arms, that sell trim, that sell Alcantara headliners, that sell windshield wipers, that sell freaking the bottle for your windshield fluid, that sell radiators, that sell transmissions. And they are just, they just put together puzzle pieces. That's what Ford and GM really are. They're experts at putting together puzzle pieces that will make a car, right? That will make a thing that will take you from point A to point B with you pressing the accelerator pedal. That's all they do. So they don't invest time into making the specific pieces. They just work with suppliers. You know, they're like, hey, can you make something a little bit like this? Can you make something a little bit like this? They'll think about how it's going to look from a design perspective. But a majority of the parts, they're just putting pieces together. So all Tesla becomes in that scenario is just another company they hire. That's all it is.
So they become a supplier.
That's all it is.
That's crazy.
Right? That's all it is. Tesla just becomes a tier 1 supplier to GM and Ford. And so from that perspective, again, this is my previous point, is if Tesla's solution for self-driving is so simple compared to the other automakers, or the other, again, from my perspective, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, let me know if I'm missing something. But it seems like their solution is by far the most elegant. And so if you're an automaker trying to build a car that implements Tesla's solution, you just have to account for exactly what you said. We just got to make sure there's 8 holes, 4 on the sides, 3 in the front, 1 in the back. And we got to make sure there's a slot for the computer somewhere to run. And maybe Tesla says, okay, if you want that, you have to bring on our operating system as well, like the thing that runs the screen. And they make it part of the package. And they're like, okay, we just have to make sure we have a screen. And we buy Tesla's computer and we buy their cameras. And then if you put all if you really think about how much material is that, I bet you can fit all 8 cameras and the hardware, like the computers, because they don't even need the screen. A screen can be any screen, right? It's like you buy a TV that's a 75-inch TV or a 150-inch TV, but they all get plugged into your Apple TV or they get plugged into your cable box, right? That cable box, think of it as the hardware computer for for self-driving and to power the screen, whatever the systems are on that screen. All those things I bet you can fit in a 12 by 12 box. Just all those. And just Tesla's like, here's your 12 by 12 box. You get our OS. You get the, I don't know, you probably don't even have to give them the harnesses and the wires. They can probably get those off the shelf. You give them the cameras. You give them the processing computers. And you're like, here you go, figure out how to put it in your car. And they put it in the car. And then this camera system will be smart enough to sort of calibrate itself to the position. You know, they have to be in a, then probably Tesla's like, hey, if you're going to put your side cameras, we recommend you put it, you know, I don't know, a foot and a half up from the ground and making sure that it faces this angle. And the side cameras, we want you to put it a foot off the ground facing backwards at this angle. And the front camera, you just got to have a slot for it on the windshield. And the back camera, you got to make sure it's not obstructed by the trunk. That's it. You just set up some rule sets and then the cars figure out how to put it in.
Dude, what you just mentioned is a whole new business for Tesla.
Yeah.
Holy jeez.
Tier 1 supplier.
That's absolutely ridiculous. That's crazy. Oh my God. So hold on. That's okay. That's one part. How would they would do it? How would Tesla charge the licensing for other automakers? Would it be based on a revenue sharing? Because me and Oracle were talking, and he's like, maybe they can charge other automakers that do license FSD like the $200 a month at the current time. Obviously, in 5 years' time, it'll be more than that. The $200 a month, and then they charge their customers, their customers maybe 250, 300. But then Boomer Mama is like, no, it's gonna be a revenue sharing thing, revenue sharing, like 20%, 30%, something like that. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
both are great ideas, but what would make the more? I would think the revenue thing would make more sense. This way, it's like it's based on customers. It's, you know, if you have X amount of customers, they will charge X amount of dollars, because, you know, if you don't, they can't charge. I'm just getting twisted on my own thoughts. But what do you think?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great question. So let's think about the pros and cons, right? So if they do it if there's a fixed price where they're like, hey, for GM, we will charge you $10,000 for the software and hardware package, and then you get to pocket all the earnings from like your monthly revenue by either by allowing people to sign up for on a monthly basis or allowing them to buy it outright. Then that does two things that are not great. It increases the upfront cost for the manufacturer, and it also makes it so that Tesla misses out on recurring revenue over like the tail life of the vehicle, right? So Ford has to spend $10,000 on that package as an example, and then that automatically makes their car $10,000 more expensive, right? So where the revenue share makes sense is that the Tesla could just say, we'll give you the hardware for free, kind of what they're doing right now with their cars, but and then the agreement becomes, if you put that stuff in your car, we have the right to track on our hardware, whatever it is, how many miles the car is being driven while it's active, and then we do a revenue share of some sort, you know, or like how many months the software is active for. But that's equation one. Equation two is when people want to use that same car and add it to the fleet of robo-taxis. Because you have to remember, there's two variables here. There's one variable where you say rent FSD for $200 a month, where it drives you around as an individual. And then there's a second variable where you take the car and you add it to a fleet without a driver, and then the car does work for you. Okay. So variable number one, Tesla and Ford and GM, whoever could say, you know, we'll go halvesies or we'll go 80-20. And then the robo-taxi one, for that car to be allowed to pick people up, I bet you what they say is that it has to run on Tesla's robo-taxi network. The only place you can add this car is on Tesla's robo-taxi network. And if that were the case, you know what I'm saying? Then it becomes super easy. It becomes, okay, Ford gets a cut and then Tesla gets the other cut. And then Tesla doesn't have to worry about maintenance or nothing. Y'all can figure it out. You know, you guys can figure out that equation. So that's how I view it. I mean, if I'm going to set up a pricing strategy for it, that's how I view it. It's like you don't want to miss out on the long-term software revenues on this. So offering it as a free hardware, and then just charging on the monthly subscription or per mile if it's a robo-taxi makes the most sense. And it lowers the barrier of entry for both the manufacturer and the customer. And Tesla can make money over 10 years on the same car.
Wow. Wow. Well, that is going to be very interesting to see. Interesting to see what's going to happen in 5 years from now. I mean, Tesla is really
It's
good,
crazy.
and no, the thing with Tesla is that they're really good in um doing the impossible. You know what I mean? So I'm just very curious to see how they're gonna do all these things. Yeah, it's
Yeah. And
absolutely
it's not
insane.
even really impossible. You know what I'm saying? What it really is, it's just it's a brand new business model that's enabled by driverless cars. That's all it is.
Yeah, but
It's like
for some,
we've never lived in that world.
that's
Yeah,
true. For some, that's like an impossible thing at all. I'm gonna
that's
sit
fair.
back and let the thing drive. I mean, after sitting in a Model Y, Model 3. By the way, I like the Model 3 better than the Y.
Really?
Yeah, it was weird because I like as soon as I got here the next day, I had a Model Y. I went all the way to the cottage areas, 3 hours up north, and it was fun to drive. But then what I didn't like about the car that really stuck with me is that the rear mirror window. I know it's not a big
It's
deal.
small.
It's extremely small. I'm like, why for a car this big? It should be much
Yeah.
bigger. But in the three, it's like 4 times as bigger. And I'm just
Isn't that
like,
weird?
I'm like, I know. I'm like, I like this. This actually is so much better.
I agree.
And I don't the way the driving for the three. I know they're similar, but I think I'm like you know me. I don't like driving long and wide cars. I've said that multiple times. Um, so and the Model Y, even though it's a big car, it doesn't feel like it. But the Model 3 is a little bit more compact. But I don't know. I found driving the Model 3 a lot more enjoyable in my experience.
It's sportier. It has better driving dynamics. It's lower to the ground. It hugs the road better. It doesn't
Yeah.
have as much body lean. It's a little bit quicker. I agree. I mean, the driving dynamics, I love the Model 3 for it. But when it comes to the Model Y, we have a Model Y. It's just getting in and out of the car is a piece of cake, and it's just
Mm,
so versatile. There's
that's
so
true,
much damn room in that car,
dude.
and yeah, you give up performance and you give up sort of like sort of the dynamics, but you gain so much on the other
Yeah.
flip side.
The
On the other side.
Obviously, the Y is more bang for your buck than the 3, but yeah, the Y had just so much space. Like, we were packing, like, 3 Colemans in the back with, like, a basket of goods, and I'm just like, "This thing can take it." Yeah, this thing could absolutely take it. It's
A lot of
crazy that
room.
the Mitsubishi that we have here, man, driving after giving me back that car and driving in that dinosaur, man, I'm just like, I it
Yeah.
I can't. I'm a risky driver now. like literally I don't like. I just got so used to the cameras all around the car and the backups, all
Yeah.
that. Driving back to a normal car, I'm just like, man, I could get into an accident so easily in this car. It's not
Doesn't
even
it feel
fun.
safer? It just feels safer to be in that car,
Do what
right?
the
In the
why?
Model Y. And yeah,
Oh
and
hell
just an
yeah!
electric car, period.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel safer. I feel like I can do maneuvers on the road. I feel like I can. The if something is happening, I can react faster. Happened
Yeah.
a few times actually, and I'm just like, and the autopilot, dude, the auto don't even get me started on the autopilot. The autopilot, and you're saying that thing was 6 years ago, so absolutely insane. I actually rented out a Model X for this weekend. First time gonna drive it.
Okay.
Don't know what to expect. So I don't know. Maybe you want to give me some tips, give me some stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a much bigger Model Y. So like do not
Yeah.
expect any good driving dynamics from that car. That thing is a
Oh,
whale. It is
shit.
the things you don't like is what the Model X is. It's long and wide.
Oh,
But
man.
what kind of trim? Is it dual motor
It's dual motor,
or
yeah.
plaid? Dual motor? Okay. So it's still gonna be quick. It's gonna definitely be a quick car. It's just it on the turns. Like if you like driving your car on the turns, you'll definitely feel the body roll a lot more. But it is such a smooth ride because those I depending what year you have, it has the latest
2022.
suspension, which is 2022. So it has butter. It's gonna have a butter ride. It's gonna be
Nice,
very
nice.
luxurious. And the front windshield is gives you the most spectacular look out. So if you're driving around in like very scenic routes, you can see everything. I mean, it's
Wow.
absolutely gorgeous.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Falcon Wing doors are a showstopper. So anywhere you show up and you pull up those doors,
Pull up
you're
the
like
wing.
everybody's like, "Oh shit, look at that thing!" Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice,
as
nice.
Persians, we love to show off, and it's perfect.
No, for now, my ranking when it comes to Tesla, first is the Model S, for so far. Then it's the Model 3 for me, and then it's the Y. Let's see where the X is gonna be.
Yeah.
Just curious to see where the X is gonna be. But no, the Model 3, man. I think if I'm gonna get a Tesla, looking at the I mean in Kuwait, if I'm getting a Tesla in Kuwait, it has to be the Model 3.
Hmm.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in more control for some reason in that car. The suspension was better in the Model 3 than Y for some reason. I don't
I
know
agree.
why. I don't know. I don't know why, but I know in the next, the 2023 and onwards, they're improving the suspension on the Y
Yeah.
and as well. So I'll try that out next year. But yeah, no, that was good. But going back to what I was saying, the just the autopilot alone, man, just convinced me that this is amazing. Just put it on autopilot, relax. Obviously, have your hand on the wheel here and there, but
Yeah.
goes and starts for you. It's amazing. It's amazing. So the last question here, because it's been over an hour now, is 2030 price target, bro. What is your price target? We have to do it. We gotta do it. We gotta do it because Baby
Yeah.
Boomer Mama
Yeah.
is saying 40x from what now, and that's like 10,000 per share. And I'm just like, man, I don't know. Let's
Well,
see what
that's
Farzad thinks.
that's that's pre-split, right? Or does that include the split price?
That includes whatever today's price is right now. So, yeah,
All right,
40x.
Boomer Mama.
Yeah, shout out to
All
her
right.
by the way.
Let me look at my my chart. Um, because I've done so many different revisions to this thing, dude. It's like crazy.
Yeah,
Because one of the things I have to do is I have to temper my expectations, um,
yeah,
based
not
on
too high.
the bot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because the bot breaks everything, and that's like my initial. Like, I'm still like comfortable with those numbers out there because it's like it really outlines just how bananas solving for labor is. Like, it's like, what the hell just happened, kind of thing. Um, let's see. So I have net income per quarter of about 70 billion. So
Okay,
you do 70 times
280.
4, 280, and then I don't know, put a multiple of let me see, 2030. I don't know, multiple of, I just want to say 50.
Okay.
Um okay, this is my super bullish estimate. If Tesla gets a 50 PE because of the bot and full self-driving being taken everywhere, and Tesla is at the 20 million per unit run rate, and they are ramping energy dramatically, it's a $14 trillion market cap.
Wow, you know what's funny? When I was doing the numbers just yesterday, and I made a video yesterday, I just have to edit it. I got around the 14, 15 trillion mark too, if I include the bot and
Okay.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So, wow. I mean, it boggles my mind. I'm sorry. It just,
It's a
I
big
mean, but
number.
it's a big fifth for 14. Okay, so that's your what? Base case, bull case? What is that? You're like, oh, damn it, I didn't do that part.
I'm gonna say bull case. I'm gonna
That's
say
your
bull
bull
case,
case?
but it doesn't include
Okay.
the bot.
It doesn't include, oh,
It doesn't include the
god,
bot.
god damn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
2030.
no.
Again, these are just numbers. These are just numbers.
Yeah,
Like, nobody take this
speculation.
seriously. Yeah,
Not financial advice.
speculation,
Yeah.
not financial advice, all that crazy stuff. But I think that's where it's just Tesla's ability to generate income from full self-driving and Tesla's energy division ramping like mad, which no one is talking about to this, and no one will for a long time because it's so quote unquote boring.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, long term, long term.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what, like a 6,000 price target by 2030 if it's 15, 14 trillion.
So it's at
Whew.
750 billion now, right? Almost 700 billion. So that's a 20x
Yeah.
on the price. Yeah, 20x on the stock price.
Yeah, so
That's
5,000.
6, 7,000,
Yeah. Boom, I was
right?
saying 10,000. Jesus.
5,000. Yeah, 5,000. Yeah,
Wow,
yeah. And then
that's
as the
crazy.
bot comes to fruition, the valuation changes again.
Man, I
So
can't even think. I can't. That boggles my mind, man. I can't even like think about how that is gonna like. Oof. I don't
strange.
know. It's next level. It's next level.
It's weird.
Okay. Yeah, that's crazy. So let's go through some questions.
Yeah.
Now I see what you mean about StreamYard not allowing me to see comments. Sorry, guys, if you guys are commenting, I can't really bring you on the screen here. Something's It's weird. I don't know why we're having this issue, but I'll just read it off right off the YouTube.
Sure.
Where was it? There was someone who asked a question. Ooh, there's so many of them. Oh my god. More.
Hello,
Where is it?
everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Again, guys, subscribe to Farzad's channel. Yeah, a crazy amount of good content, and Twitter as
Thank you,
well.
dude.
Yeah, I'm a follower, been a follower, so I love his stuff. There we
I
go.
appreciate you.
Yeah, man. No, I love you. All right. So, from Paul Costa, he's saying, Farzad, what are your thoughts on Elon saying that FSD has a mind, and what is rate of learning of that mind? He said,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
mean,
wouldn't understand that. Okay.
I think so Elon made a comment on X where he was like, it's kind of like FSD kind of has like a mind of its own. It's like teaching a mind how to think. And I think what he's trying to say there is that how they're solving for full self-driving is analogous to an artificial intelligence or like a very beginning stages of AGI versus your traditional software, which is a lot of if then else nests and how you're writing code. So what you're doing is you're showing it things, you're giving it pictures, you're giving it video, you're like helping it see the world, and then the AI will make a decision based on the information it gets, you know? Whereas on software, you're very much telling the computer how to think, like node by node. And I think that's what he means by that is it's a very different approach, but that's how neural nets work. That's how all the chess um um AIs that are being used right now learned how to play chess. They just give it a bunch of data and then it learned how to play chess. Same thing with Go. Same thing with Dota. Same thing with League. Like all these different things. You're just saying, hey, this is how this thing works, and then the AI figures out how it behaves.
Okay. So there
Yeah,
we go. Yeah, it is somewhat of a
it's
mind.
like a
I mean,
baby. It's like a baby.
yeah, artificial intelligence, man, they're gonna take over the world one day.
It's true.
Oh god. So I have another question here from James saying
Sure.
that Farzad, any rumors or do you know where Corey from Monroe is going? Any speculation?
I don't know. I don't know where he's going. All I know is that I'm very happy for him, and it's a big loss to Monroe. But I really do think that Monroe is going to figure it out for sure. Um, Corey's he's been such a great service to that company, and but Sandy is a treasure, and I'm sure that team will figure it out. So but as far as where he's going, I have no idea.
Yeah, no, yeah, I saw that video and I'm just like, oh man, it was you were the star of that channel, man. I'm not gonna lie, but no,
They
it's I guess you just
have so much
ah
talent there. It's
it-
crazy. They'll be
yeah,
fine.
he'll do good. He'll do well.
Yeah.
Last question. Will Tesla compete with Apple and make the Tesla phone a reality? Oh, yeah, I know there's been a lot of rumors of this. And if so, what effect would Tesla phone have on the stock price? Okay, let's just forget the second question. The first question: will Tesla compete with Apple to make the Tesla phone a reality? What do you think, man? Because I know a rumor was coming around like 2 years ago about the Pi phone. It doesn't resonate with Tesla's mission statement, how a phone will transition to sustainable energy. But I know they have the software to do it if they want to. The question is though, will they do it? What's your thoughts?
Right. I don't think if there is a company that will do a phone, I would think it's X more than anything, because
Mm,
X slots in a lot more into that mindset of like, because it's already an app
okay.
on your phone, and if Elon's super pissed about how Apple is sort of monopolizing the App Store, and he thinks that getting into the phone business makes sense, then he'll do it. If there's like some limiting factors for him to get done what he wants to get done, but I agree with you. I don't think I mean, I could be 100% wrong, but I used to be in the camp that there might be a chance that Tesla comes out with a phone. But after he bought Twitter, I was like, there's 0% chance. Because if a
Mm,
phone were to come out, it would be much better handled under that umbrella than Tesla.
that makes sense. That makes sense. So there we go. That's the answer to that question. And I think we'll leave it at that. Thank you everyone for joining me and Farzad on this channel. Thank you, Farzad, for coming on this channel. And
Of course.
this is a lot of fun. Hopefully I can get you on here a bit more. That's gonna be obviously scheduled, but if you're down, we can do that. I'll be down.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm more than happy to come back at some point. Thank you so much for having me on again. Thank you to everybody
Pleasure,
listening and
man.
watching. Really appreciate you guys. Yeah, always enjoy talking with you. It always helps me sort of get my thoughts together when I talk with folks, and you're one of those people. So I really appreciate you taking the time. Yeah, and thank you for having me. I had a blast.
Yeah,
Thank you
my
very much.
pleasure. Everyone, go out and follow Farzad on his Twitter, on his YouTube. A lot of great content, a lot of good stuff. Again, I've been a follower since day one, both on Twitter and YouTube. So go do that. You guys won't regret it. And again, Farzad, thanks a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.
Bye bye.